For a while now, the Kenya Police has grappled with the challenges posed by criminal gangs. These gangs have used all manner of excuses to preposition the public to tolerate their existence. But underneath all the misleading arguments, some of which have been laced with religious undertones, is a harsh reality. Over the years, these criminal gangs have engaged in such serious crimes as murder, robbery, extortion, and blackmail. The actions have trampled on the legal and moral rights of wananchi, violated the sanctity of life, and desecrated the individual's right to own property. Their main calculation is to use fear to exploit other Kenyans economically, and they are willing to kill to do this. The feature you are about to watch takes us beyond the headlines of one such group. It has been prepared with the contribution of many ordinary citizens who have volunteered information in keeping with the strategy of community policing. This feature is real and contains some footage of our crime archives. Some of this footage is shocking.
A look at 50-year-old Mama Mary Waithera Wanjenga tells the story of her shattered life. On the outside, her well-kept rural compound in Kiogora village, Banana, in Kiambu district, shows a self-reliant, hard-working peasant farmer struggling to keep her farm going with a host of mixed farming activities. But the story of her life is tied to the two graves next to her cowshed. One belongs to her husband, who died of diabetes 6 years ago, a fact she has stoically taken in her stride as she assumed the role of head of family.
Nikaomba Mungu nikamwambia ukinipe tu wasome wasiibe kitu ya mtu tashukuru. Na hakuna mtu hajasoma, wote wamesoma. Wamefika form 4 na wakaenda college, makaratasi yote iko.
For 6 years since her husband's death, she raised her 4 children as only a mother can, giving room for growth of non-mainstream talent as she encouraged her last-born child, Nicholas Mark Mbogwa Njenga, to become a budding artist, a career he took to a formal level when he joined a Nairobi-based school of fine art.
Akaanza kuona mimi nikifunga hii kazi, niende kazi hii yangu ya kuchora, si nitakuwa mzuri sana. Ukisiona hapa nyumba naweza zaga.
But all these hopes and hard work and dreams lie in a second grave next to the young artist's father. One morning, as she arrived back home from a friend's funeral, she found her homestead in mourning.
Mimi kija hapa, watu wanajaa huku kwangu. Kote hata kila mahali siwezi kuingia. Nikifika pale kwa geti nikashindwa na kuingia sababu nimeshindwa ni nini kulifanyika kwangu.
Her last-born son Nicholas, who was home for the holidays, was dead. But there was more.
Wakasema tutanyamaza hivyo hata watu wa huku, familia zetu, ati asionyeswe hiyo mtoto yake, asimuone vile yako sababu ataharibika kichwa.
Her son wasn't just dead. He had been murdered. And not just murdered. His body had been mutilated. Fully aware of her dangerously fragile state and the affection she had towards her last-born son, the neighbors and relatives would not let Waithera see her son's body.
Mimi sikumuona. Nilikaa mpaka siku ya mazishi. Ndio walisema huyu mama atamuona akiteremshwa. Na hivyo ndio kulikuwa. Ati nisimuone.
Pictures and memories are all that are left to Waithera and her family. 2 years later, her calloused hands still cradle her son's paintings, showing them to anyone who visits her forlorn home, hanging desperately onto the memory of a young man she loved. Still, it is obvious residents of Banana Division know more than she does. But they still don't tell her much. She loved her son too much to know the truth, a neighbor
Nani
confesses.
anaweza kusema? Kwanza kama mimi, mtu anaweza kuniambia kweli? Hata wawezi kuongea mahali nipo. Hakuna mtu anaweza sema.
As Waithera struggles to understand the fear and pain her son encountered before his life was snuffed out, another family in Dumberi of Kiamba Division, Kiambu District, still struggles to come to terms with another death that occurred in the same period.
Nikaambiwa Jino ameuawa na amekatwa kichwa, na kichwa yake iko Kiambu town, mahali matatu inabebea watu ya kwenda Ruiru na Nairobi imewekwa hapo, na mwili yake huonekani.
Mzee Jino Njuguna of Kiambu still reeks of bitterness and pain as he recalls the murder of his grandson. His relationship with Dominic Njino was personal. The young man, as per Kikuyu tradition, was named after him. And his violent death has left a deep scar that the old man in his sunset years still struggles to come to terms with.
Nilikuta mwili yake amekatwa singo, kichwa hakuna. Ametolewa suruali, amekatwa hali ya wanaume yote. Kushi, hata viatu hana.
A morning of terror that shocks both Kiambu residents and provincial administrators alike.
Jambo la kutisha na kushangaza ni kwamba tulikuta kichwa ambacho hakikuwa na mwili kimewekwa hapo. Kwa paper bag kimewekwa hapo juu kapepa bag ya green na kichwa kimewekwa pale. Na baada ya kudurusu na kuchunguza, tulikuja kutambua ni kijana tulikuwa tunamjua zaidi. Kijana alikuwa anaitwa Jino. Na shida sasa tuliyopata ni kwamba kichwa tunacho hapa, lakini hatuna mwili.
60 kilometers away in Murang'a district, Robert Mwangi Kiunjuri, a school teacher in Kianjogu in Kahora division, is a witness to another blood-curdling occurrence.
When I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning for a short call, and during that time, when I shone my torch, I found that there was a human head on my Ken's pen. And on going closer, I realized that the human head belonged to a person whom I knew.
Totally different security situation. Not mere theft or robbery. A reign of terror.
When night comes, in fact, we cannot even move out of the door because of the fear.
Walipoingia tayari walikuwa wamepiga mlango risasi. Walipata kama tayari ameanguka.
Tuliambiwa ati driver alimaliziwa hapo. Alafu alikatwa kichwa.
Walikatakatwa watu 3.
Mourning relatives, scared residents, reported for 2 years in the news media as news briefs and TV clips. But underneath it all, a horrible reality and a torturous path still yet to be navigated in a tricky effort to understand and contain a group of killers. May 2007, a security threat looms over 5 districts in the expansive central province of Kenya and some parts of Nairobi. Several incidents of violent murders are reported. The unique aspect of this situation is that nothing is stolen from the victims, but the method employed in the murders is chilling. The victims, mostly male, have their heads cut off, their private parts dismembered, and their body parts recovered in different locations. The media and government security forces links the killings to a well-known but little understood group known as the Mungiki, a quasi-religious organization banned in 2002. For almost 3 years, Mungiki's activities appeared confined within its secret membership until 2006, when a trail of bodies started being linked to its activities. Unknown to the public, Mungiki had changed its tactics. Mama Waithera, whose student son, a self-made fine artist, was beheaded in June 2006, is still bewildered as to why her son was targeted.
Masomo alikuwa mzuri sana. Mzuri sana. Lakini haya yote ni ya Mungu. Wachungaji walijiuliza, kwani mtoto wa kanisa anaweza kuwa nani?
It is a story confirmed by neighbors and family. Her son Nicholas Mark Mbogwa Njenga, self-driven, enterprising, and firm in his Catholic faith, had opened a stall in Nairobi's Kenyatta market to sell his drawings and complement his mother's earnings that paid for his studies. His dream, however, is cut short. And he is not the only young man who pursued self-reliance who ended up as a Mungiki target. Mungiki was recruiting members. Unlike earlier when membership was voluntary, the new tactic was forced recruitment.
Lakini walikuwa wanaambia jino wenye kumuua wiki 3 na kuisha. Walikuwa wanakuja boma hii wiki 3 mbeleni. Ni Mungiki. Kama hutaki kuingia dini yetu, utakiona cha mtamakono.
Dominic Njino, a matatu conductor on the Nairobi-Kiambu Road, was also a target. Working in the matatu industry, which was infiltrated by the Mungiki, he was given an ultimatum to join the group.
Wiki ya 3 walikuja hapa wakamwambia, kama hutaki kuingia chama chetu, ungoje ripoti yako kesho. Ripoti yake kesho ni kishwa ilipatikana Kiambu, imekatwa. Mwili iko hapa na kishwa iko Kiambu. Hiyo ndio ripoti tulipata.
He used to say no. He always made it clear that he will not join them. He used to tell me, Mom, these people want me to join them, and I will not. Whatever happens, I will not join them. If they want to kill me, let them do it, but I will not join them. He told me every time he met them.
Wengine walijiunga uoga manake labda ameshurutishwa na labda ameogopa. Otherwise, wale wengi walikataa manake waliona sasa kama unaingia mahali ambapo utaingia kisha kutoka ni ngumu manake utatishwa maisha yako. Ndio wengine wakakataa, wengine kwa sababu ya uoga wao wakawa wamejiunga.
Mungiki sect members burst into the national limelight in the 1990s with unorthodox habits that included tobacco sniffing, trademark dreadlocks, and praying while facing Mount Kenya. In less than a decade, they presented a fearful force that no longer drew curiosity, but fear. Dr. Mutuma Rutere, a political scientist at the University of Nairobi and a human rights activist, recently released a book that attempts to dissect the politics of Mungiki violence in Kenya.
It is criminal. There's a section within it that believed that, this actually is a route to go back to a different way of life, we get baptized to the traditional way. There is a group within it that sees this as an opportunity to earn a daily living.
But to the grieving Mzee Njino, a religion cannot be used to explain Mungiki's activities.
Si dini, ni watu ya kuharibu. Kwa nini wanakubali kuua mtu? Kama ni dini. Dini ni ya kurudisha watu njia moja. Dini si ya kuua mtu.
A religion can be positive. Religion can be negative. When a religion begins to undertake negative trends that threaten security and stability of peace-loving communities, it becomes an issue.
To the Kenya police, the connection between Mungiki and religion masks a dangerous reality that is a direct threat to law and order.
We have not gone to look for people in their place of worship. We come for you if you have started interfering with the rights of other Kenyans.
More worrying to law enforcement officials is Mungiki's involvement in activities that mirror an organized crime syndicate.
We get very interested when you threaten people with their own private property, that you either give me this percentage of your income daily, or I harm you, or I commit murder.
Several districts of Central Province have borne the brunt of Mungiki's economic exploitation.
Nasikia watu wa matatu za pickups wanaobebea watu mizigo walikuwa wameshuhudia kwamba watakuwa wakichukua kutoka kwao shilingi 100 kila siku. Watu wa kuuza sukuma wiki na mboga na maembe walikuwa wameshuhudia watakuwa wakiitishwa shilingi 50 kwa kila siku.
Murang'a was worst affected. From matatus to petty traders, Mungiki included peasant farmers in their list of targets. In Molem village in Makoyo, Esther Wairimo is surrounded by fresh memories, painful memories of one rainy night that drastically altered the course of her life.
Walikuwa wanapiga risasi, zinapitia kwa wardrobe, zinampata bwanangu pande ya nyuma ya mlango.
Her husband, Frederick Kamau, was added to a growing list of victims of Mungiki, whose form of violence had now extended to shooting their victims. Wanjiru's husband, Kimani, was operating a new matatu. As was customary with Mungiki's mode of operation, a toll fee was demanded. He did not pay. He got killed.
Tuliambiwa ati driver alimaliziwa hapo hapo. Halafu alikatwa kichwa na kondakta wake wakiwa wote wawili. Halafu sisi tukaandamana mpaka hapo na tulikuta damu nyingi hapo. Halafu tukaenda moshari Murang'a.
Still in Murang'a district, we encounter an elderly couple still mourning the death of their son, John, a budding young entrepreneur whose savings had been channeled into the border business.
Tulipata walikatakatwa watu 3.
John was pronounced dead at 11 a.m. the next day. Being old did not provide any safety for Mungiki. 70-year-old Danson Weruri Mwangi has the scars to prove it.
There came 2 thugs wielding machetes. They asked me for money. They were Mungiki. In the ensuing argument, they cut off my left hand from the wrist down. They then fled as this whole place was littered with blood.
And these are the brave ones, the few willing to talk. In this place, too much talk about this terror gang can earn you a death sentence. From Murang'a, which for years has been one of their key operating points, Mungiki is being felt in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Beginning the late 1990s, their members started a systematic and forceful takeover of management of commuter service vehicles, specifically the matatu industry. Those standing in the way were ruthlessly dealt with.
Haya, sasa hizi risiti munaona hapa. Tunalipa kwa Mungiki.
The growth of Mungiki's economic empire has extended to Nairobi's city slums, notably Mathare, Kariobangi, and Kayole in the east of the capital. It is in these slums that their most vivid confrontation with security forces has been witnessed. In Nairobi, the ruthlessness takes a different dimension. It now mostly involves the use of guns, with deadly consequences.
Tukiwa hapa ndio tukaanza kusikia marisasi kutoka nyuma. Tukiwa hapa sasa. Sasa wakati tulisikia hiyo marisasi kutoka nyuma, kuangalia hivi nilikuwa naona marisasi nagonga karibu kwa mguu yangu ya right. Sasa mimi wakati nilikuwa naona marisasi nagonga karibu kwa mguu yangu wa right, mimi nikaangukia mkono wa left. Which kwa mzuri nikaingia kwa mtaro. Wenzangu sasa naona wenzangu wamepigwa marisasi wamelala chini.
June 2007. Mungiki claims 2 members of the police force doing a normal patrol round in Kariobangi area of Nairobi. Constable Joel Kitur, who was part of the patrol team, survived the deadly assault.
Sawa, wakati walitupiga, mimi nilijua tu hiyo mabunduki walikuwa nao ni AK-47. Yes, uvija hata mwishowe iliokotwa makanda hapo, yani makanda ya risasi.
2 policemen from the scene. It's an attack mounted from the dreaded Kalashnikov rifle, commonly known as the AK-47, with devastating effect.
Nampenda sana.
In Karatina, Mzee Michael Githaiga Ngure mourns the death of his slain son, Constable Kaunda, one of the 2 policemen gunned down in Kariobangi.
Bicha huyu msichana kuwa akifikiria habari ya bwana yake, akifikiria habari ya bwana wake, huyu mtu amewacha bila baba, lakini mimi nitakuwa baba. Mimi nitakuwa baraka. Hata huyu atakuwa mama ya wote wawili. Nitakuwa baba yao. Nitakuwa in charge.
1 week later, 2 other policemen are gunned down in Nairobi's Mathare area in trademark execution. It's Mungiki. And again, AK-47 rifles are used.
The existence of one illegal firearm outside there is a present and imminent threat to the rights and freedoms of every individual in Kenya.
At the Police Training College Kiganjo, the training is now tempered by the reality of a growing danger. At the CID headquarters in Nairobi, massive gun recoveries from the Mungiki and the Sabaot Land Defense Force has prompted the increased use of forensic science to increase the pace of tracking the illegal militia guns. And Mungiki's guns are now being connected to a good number of matatu jacking and bank robberies in major towns, including the capital, Nairobi.
Saying that Mungiki is not a big problem because after all we are paying only 100 shillings is a very short-sighted, a very simplistic way of interpreting a very serious problem.
When Mungiki takes on a tone that is negative, killings, maiming, destroying property, going after certain organized economic ventures like public transport and so on by force, using undue means, this becomes negative. And so it has to be tackled from that angle.
Don't forget that a firearm is considered as a power. And a firearm in the wrong hands is considered even more power.
To the peasants in the affected areas, the argument goes beyond the oft-quoted disenfranchised youth and the question of culture.
Sisi tusinde tukilima na nyinyi mzidi mnaketi chini. Alafu jioni mje mchukue hiyo pesa tunashokea tunatoa jasho. Hata mimi naweza kubali. Au wewe unaweza kubali?
Shida yao kubwa ni kukataa kazi kabisa. Hata ukimwambia hii ndio saba ulime hataki.
In Banana, Mama Njoroge refuses to let go of the pain even as she dutifully manages her daily duties as a mother and tending daily to the grave of her slain son.
Na ndio nilikuwa naomba Mungu, nikamwambia ukinipa zangu Baba, nitawasomeza mahali nitaweza mimi. Shetani akanichukulia mtu.
And she hangs on to a young man's dream that was extinguished by a murder she still does not fully grasp. Yet the defiance and heroic resilience is also evident. They are starting to speak out, hesitantly. Some are outrightly daring against a menace that has functioned by the spread of fear.
Nikiogopa na mimi ni mzee. Nani atasema kama mimi? Nani atasema?
In Kiambu, Chief George Kibugi Mburu is also hopeful that the fear factor enforced by the Mungiki can be broken.
Wajaribu kupata imani na kukubalia kwamba imani ishabadilika.
And the groundswell is starting to pick up the pace, slowly but surely. In Dumberi, the father of slain Matatu conductor Dominic Njino, in spite of his loss, reasserts the values he says are central in the manner he raised his late son.
What I will say regarding those people is that one should eat from their own sweat and hard work. Because what you have worked for is what you can enjoy without worry, without waste, and with satisfaction.
His wife, though tearful, defiantly answers when asked, what pains her the most? Is it her son's death or the manner in which he was murdered? Instead, she says she is proud of him. He did not forsake his faith.
I believe that people should not fear the Mungiki. You should overcome the fear when they tell you to join Mungiki. You need to stand firm in your faith in God and resist, because death is inevitable in this life.
They do not feature in the media anymore, and a lot of their tales remain untold. It is difficult to tell how many. Though their tears for their loved ones are far from drying, they evidently are staying on the path of hope. That it can all end one day. That their right to life and property, peace and security, and justice, though temporarily challenged, will one day prevail. The Matatus still ply the roads. The small traders still sell their wares. The peasant farmers attend to their farms every day. The brave ones act like life is normal until you look closer. Then you can still tell the fear of the unknown, of the unpredictable, of a dark shadow they know lurks. For them, any day could be a critical moment of reckoning. For them, the time to act could not have come sooner.
As you have seen, Mungiki is a ruthless gang that has no qualms about committing murder and other serious crimes. All of us as Kenyans have a duty to expose them, have them stopped, and have them prosecuted. There will always be people who are determined to live a criminal life. But our resolve as Kenyans that violence and crime as a means of earning an easy life does not have a place in Kenya needs to be clearly, strongly, and firmly spelled out. And it will be. Looking past the horror Mungiki has exposed some Kenyans to, you have also met men and women whose only wish is to live in peace and to continue their daily lives. These are decent, honest, and hard-working people, and they have a right to peace and security. For their sake and the sake of every Kenyan who plays by the rules, it is imperative that we act in one accord to ensure that crime does not pay and must never be seen to pay. We pay credit to the Kenyans who have taken time through our community policing efforts to give information and expose those gangs for what they really are, criminals with no regard for human life. As for the criminals, I have one message for them. The Kenya Police is determined to protect the rights, freedoms, and liberties of law-abiding citizens from criminals, including Mungiki. This campaign will continue until the last of these groups are prosecuted.